the Screensavers. I'm Kate Patello. And you're Richard Nixon.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm Richard Nixon. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in today's show.
Oh, I should have said Henry.
We'll talk to the man who created No, I'm going to stop right there. We're going to talk to the man who wrote the Amiga operating system. He's got a new project. Carl Sassenrath has written a new programming language designed for the web. All right? We're going to talk about Rebel. You rebel you.
You rebel.
You rebel you.
Speaking of rebels, speaking in code, pointers for the programming community in this week's news group recommendation.
Ooh. Then later, a way to control your netcam using a robotic arm, as opposed to the robotic hip. That's on today's...
Before we talk about today's topic in the chat room, let's check out the final results of our last poll as opposed to the elbow. Would you back up your brain? Half of you said yes, 30% of you said no, and 20% of you are already there. Good for you. You've listened to our advice and you've backed yourself up. Today in the chat room,
that 20% of our audience
has already scanned their brain on computers that it
thinks that they've backed up their brain.
Oh, they're just clever and they click yes because it's cute right there.
On dat tape?
Yeah. Let me just set this up for you, today's chat topic now. Okay, the Postmaster General is realizing that people are using so much email that the post office is getting ready to lose some serious money. Because the more that people use bill-paying services and so forth, the fewer first-class stamps they're buying. People are buying fewer and fewer stamps. They're shipping via UPS. They're not using the post office as much. So the post office is saying, we need to step up into modern times and try and figure out how we're going to make some money. So they've brought on a new vice president of e-commerce. They're doing whatever they can to try and have an e-postal service. So one of the many ideas they've tossed out is an email address for every street address. Now, if you didn't have a computer, whatever email you got would actually be printed out by the post office and hand-delivered to your home.
So we'd like to ask you, should you be forced to have an email address, even if you don't want one, even if you don't have a computer? You know, there's another reason why they want to do this. It's a governmental mandate because the government would like to stop. They don't want to spend the money mailing you things like tax notices, government checks, things like that. What they'd like to do is eliminate that from the mail entirely. They'd like to email you notices like that. And so remember, while you may say, hey, it's a great idea to have an email address, the side effect of that is you may not get hard copy mail of some of the things that you used to get from the federal government.
And things that you need for your archives, etc. Now, what happens when you move?
Well, just like when the forwarding address for your regular mail, right? I mean, how would that be any different?
Not really, because it's still the same address. If you live at 131 Pine Street, the email address is 131 Pine Street.
Well, yeah, but same thing with your hard copy mail, right?
In theory, it would
just put a forwarding address.
In theory, if it were working, which
doesn't often work.
I'm wondering about that. So, do you have a strong opinion on this?
The only thing that worries me is I do think that this is kind of a governmental initiative to eliminate hard copy, and I don't like that at all.
No, me neither.
So I'm going to say no.
All right.
I just decided.
You know what? I'm arbitrarily clicking no, too. Because I don't want to be...
Is a no a yes in this particular vote?
No, I should not be forced to have an email address.
Okay.
Because what if I don't want one? So there. Take our web poll, screensavers.com. Click on the talkback feature. And, I don't know. Tell us actually how you think the Postal Service should step into the modern age. That's what I'd like to know.
You can also telephone us, 888-989-7879. That's toll-free. Or chat with us, chat.zdnet.com. The Screensavers room is the place to be.
Unless, of course, you have a netcam. You want to be on television. You click on the netcam Cineplex because it's Shannon and Brad and I think Roger in there. What about the homeless?
Well, they don't get mail.
Oh, I don't know,
either.
Kevin. Kevin and Shannon are like...
No. If you had a post office box, you'd have a mail address, and then you'd have email. In fact, that's kind of the benefit of that is, the other side of the argument is, well, a lot of people are disenfranchised by not having email these days, right?
Right.
So this way you'd get email, even if you didn't have a computer.
Then there you go. See? Even the homeless could get spam. Terrific.
And it's important to have a mail address because if you don't have a mail address, we can't send you your magnet.
Right, your magnet, which you can get that will hopefully be in much better condition than ours are because I've been chucking them for days for your fridge, as seen on our fridge.
It's not the throwing, it's the fact that I've been chewing them.
To be seen on,
There they are.
Marcus and Dave. There's our sound guy and our floor director.
The cool dudes at ZDTV.
You guys are so cool.
You could put this on your fridge just like them.
Right.
Latrice joins us on the phone from Fort Worth, Texas. Hey, Latrice. Welcome.
Hi, Latrice.
Hey, Kate. Hi, Leo.
How you doing?
Can you speak up a little bit, hon? Because we can just barely hear you.
Okay, I sure will.
Oh, my
gosh.
What can we do for you?
Well, my question was, what are the advantages of me having my own server? I'm moving to a small town, and the local, well, it's not a local access number. It's actually going to be long distance.
Oh, that's bad.
And I was wondering, would it make a difference if I had my own server?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by your own server, but think about it. You mean if you were your own internet service provider?
Yeah, if I had my own access number.
Yeah, here's the bad news about that. Even a big internet service provider still has to have an internet service provider. You don't eliminate the internet service provider because you've got to get on the internet somehow.
Somebody owns all those pipes, you know.
So what internet service providers do is they actually buy big connections to the internet from the phone companies typically, or from another regional internet service provider, and that costs hundreds, sometimes thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars a month.
That's why they're all charging you so much.
So now a lot of people go to rural areas, and I know a lot of our viewers actually, at least are considering this, and some are actually doing it, start their own ISP. If you can't get local access in that, how big is that town?
Well, I talked to my husband. He said no more than 500 people.
Okay.
It's a very small town.
That's not bad.
But that's probably why there's no ISP now. It's not a huge market. On the other hand, you're living there.
Yeah.
You could get a simple computer, buy some internet access from a bigger company, buy usually a leased line that's always connected, get a few modems, put that in your closet, and for maybe, we priced this out once, was it $20,000, something like that?
I don't remember.
You could set up an internet service provider and sell it to your community.
But we've had people who actually got together with their communities and bought and leased all that stuff themselves so that they all coughed up the money, worked together, and made sure that they had an ISP for their community.
So you have two ways to go. You could make it a business for yourself, Latrice, a profit business.
Because they'd need it.
Or you could do it kind of in a sharing way, a community internet. And I think one of the things that's happening is even communities of 500, so many of us now are getting on the net, even in a community of 500, that might mean 100 or 200 customers for an internet service provider. Because nowadays, internet access has got to become universal. So you may have an opportunity there that's just emerged, and that's why nobody's come in there.
Now, Latrice, you could always consider in the meanwhile, until you've got that all figured out, using a free ISP. Or a frisk.
Well, you'd still be paying
you'd still have to pay
long distance charge, and that's the problem.
But you'd save yourself the money.
Yeah, it might make up the difference.
ISP payment.
Yeah,
it
that's right.
might work out in the end.
Where's the nearest big town with an ISP?
Waco.
How far is that going?
But it has the same area code, and I didn't understand why it would be long distance.
Yeah, welcome to the magic of the phone company. That's because you're in Region 7, they're in Region 9.2.
And here we have to do 10-digit dialing for everything really soon anyway.
So we sympathize. This is a big issue that a lot of people, particularly, and you should really listen to what the presidential candidates say in this election year, are talking about, and that is universal internet access. I think this talks to our topic of the night. Everybody is going to eventually need to be able to get onto the internet, if only to email your member of Congress or to participate in the community at large. And so government and private industry have to look at ways to wire rural communities and inner city communities where there's less desire. You know, they're skimming the cream. They're going to the places where you're going to get the big bucks. Yeah. But we've got to make sure everybody's wired. Yeah. So I know I spoke to the chairman of the FCC about 6 months ago, William Kennard, and I know that is one of his #1 priorities, is making sure that people get wired in rural areas.
Well, that would be nice.
It may take something like the Tennessee Valley Authority remember this was started by FDR as a way of electrifying rural areas.
Oh, yeah, they're still getting subsidies for their electricity, which is wrong.
Well, but it may take governmental subsidies to get internet access in a very much the same way that rural electrification happened in the 20s and the 30s. That same thing may have to happen in the what do we call this decade?
Oh,
the zeros.
You know, currently.
Okay, let's
talking about doing that.
There is an article on our website. We'll put a link in the show notes on what it takes to start an internet service provider if you want to think about doing it yourself. But I caution you, it's expensive, and it probably isn't going to be super profitable.
But maybe you'll make a couple of wealthy new friends in your new town, and y'all can get together and work it out for yourselves.
Well, I'll sure call y'all and let y'all know I'm doing that.
You better.
Will you?
Bring your.
Do
you have a dish? DirecTV or a dish?
We're thinking about getting one of those.
You got to bring one with you, otherwise you won't be able to see us.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Latrice.
Guys.
Thanks, Latrice.
Bye-bye.
Take care. After the break, we're going to recommend a news group with lots of resources for programmers, by programmers, and about programmers and programming when the program, Screensavers program, continues with its program.
I didn't know you. Yes, it's time once again for News Groove. This week's recommendation, Comp.Programming, a news group for programmers. If you're getting a migraine over one tiny piece of code that just won't work, or you're learning a new language, or you have a tip to share, even if it's 3 in the morning, you're not alone. Head on over to Comp.Programming, where you'll find discussions for everything from the best C compiler to how to do a quick sort routine, or you can even drop some knowledge of your own. Find out what the other bitheads are thinking at Comp.Programming. It's a really great resource and a good place to get information on any programming problem.
All right.
You'll find a link to this and all our news group recommendations where else?
TheScreensavers.com.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Jerry joins us in the ZDTV3 Cam Network from Rochester, New York. That's Martin Sargent's hometown.
It is, in fact.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're
Pretty
great.
good. Do you know the Sargents? You know the Sargent family in Rochester?
No, don't know them.
Fabulous,
Just
fabulous
thought we'd
folks.
just, toss that out and see.
Let's look them up.
Apparently they were on the Titanic.
They were
according
on
to Martin.
What can we do for you, Jerry?
Well, I installed WinLinux 2000.
Yes, which we don't like very much, having played with it now.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
And I uninstalled it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just like we did. Yeah.
And now when I boot, I'm getting Windows 98 is starting your MS-DOS-based program.
Yeah. This is not unusual, and it came from interrupting a WinLinux boot. And what happens when you have the way Linux works, and a lot, DOS. This used to happen all the time when DOS games were around. You would double-click the icon in Windows. Windows would exit. It would say restarting in MS-DOS mode to run your game, right? And then it would play the game. WinLinux did the same thing. It would have to restart in MS-DOS mode and then run.
Okay.
But the problem is, if you interrupted this process or it crashed, more likely in your case it crashed because WinLinux was terrible. Then what happens is it never gets cleaned up. Now, normally what will happen is you'll exit the game, the changes that Windows made to itself for this restart get cleaned up, and everything's normal. So there's a couple of ways to fix this problem. There's the kind of draconian solution, which
love those.
Which is to delete configsys and autoexec.bat.
Which will rebuild themselves the next time you boot.
So what you probably should do is, instead of deleting them, is rename them to autoexec.old or .back and config.back, and then try restarting. See if that starts it up for you.
There you go.
There's another thing that can sometimes happen, and this might be the easiest way to fix it. We've shown this before. There is a hidden system file. You're not going to see it. It's in the C root directory. You're not going to see it unless you change your view. So you have to go to View, Folder, Options, File Types. View, and click Show All Files right here. Okay. And actually, I usually make that my default. Oh, look at all those files that we didn't see before.
Oh, hey, hidden system files they don't want us toying with.
Including this one, msdos.sys. Now, you remember in the old days of DOS, this was a binary file. This actually was DOS. Nowadays, believe it or not,
Go
ahead.
You have to change the attributes of this file before you can do anything, right?
Yeah.
It's read-only for now.
Yeah, right. It's nowadays it's a text file, so you're absolutely right. The first thing to do is right-click and select Properties, turn off read-only. You can also turn off hidden. It doesn't hurt it to do that. And then you're going to want to open Notepad and edit it. So I'm going to do that right now. We'll go to Accessories.
We're doing Open With, which is
Notepad.
fast.
And I will select msdos.sys.
There you go.
This is a text file, and you may have this problem right here. There's a line here called boot GUI. Normally it's boot GUI. Oh, you really can't see that, can you?
Boot GUI 1. That means...
Make that really, really big for you.
Do I boot
Let's
Windows?
go to Garamond 20.
There we go.
Boot GUI is normally, it should be by default 1, which means true, boot into the GUI. What may have happened is this may have been set to 0 during the reboot process. If you do that, it'll go to DOS. Okay? So there's a couple of ways out of this. There's one third way. I'll give you a third way. You'll see the message. You may see in the message, press escape to cancel. Do you see that?
No.
Okay. Sometimes it says rebooting Windows to go to MS-DOS mode to play XYZ game. Press escape to cancel. If you're lucky enough to see that, you can press escape and then Windows will clean itself up.
Oh, man.
Well, it does boot into Windows.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But you see this error message.
Yeah.
And you're just sick of the error message.
I would take a look at your configsys and your autoexec.bat. Somewhere in there, oops, I don't want to save those changes, do I? Somewhere in there, they put an entry for WinLinux.
Okay, I'll look for that.
The truth is, in Windows 98 and 95, Generally speaking, you don't need an autoexec.bat or config.sys unless there's something special that you're running for DOS mode compatibility. You almost always don't have to have any entries in that file at all. So it's probably safe just to rename it and see if it works.
Yeah.
Try that, Jerry. And, let's talk real quickly about WinLinux, which was a neat idea. It was a Linux that would run from Windows. It didn't need to do any partitioning or anything.
We were so excited
We were excited. We tried it. We had troubles with it. I still have troubles with it. It's too small a company, and they're really not able to do what they're doing. There are a lot of companies that do what's called UMS-DOS versions of Linux that run on the FAT file system. And new Mandrake, by the way, 7 has that feature. Well, it'll install in Windows, partition itself out, and run from Windows. So maybe take a look at Mandrake 7 if you really want to have Windows and Linux. Okay, Jerry?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Can I get an autograph picture?
Oh, certainly.
Calls.
Okay.
Hang on the line. If you see the sergeants, tell them we said hey.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Jerry. Up next, more helpful advice from what some people call the dynamic duo computer.
Am I Batman or Robin?
You'd definitely be Robin. When the Screensavers continues, no, you'll be Batgirl. Screensavers.com, best place for information about what's on the show. Hey, were you not paying attention or something and you missed the answer on how to optimize your Quake game? For crying out loud! Well, it's okay. Read the show notes on all the insider information.
I missed that. Was that
Screensavers.com.
I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, dude.
I was here for that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't think I was here for that.
Oh, maybe you weren't. Oh, that's it. I've scanned your brain and you scanned mine.
Oh, so you forget. Oh, I forget. I wasn't here that day. No, that was you.
TJ joins us.
We're confused.
TJ joins us on the phone from Toms River, Texas. Hello, TJ.
Hi, TJ.
What's up?
I was wondering how you can connect S-video from a video card to your TV.
You want to watch your computer on your television.
Yeah.
And your card has
S-video on the back.
Only S-video out?
Yeah.
What kind of card is it?
Voodoo 3 3500.
Really? 3500 doesn't have anything but S-video out?
Well, I think it's like the Europe version that doesn't.
Oh. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it has composite out on the ones I see.
Did you buy that on eBay or something?
No, compact.
All right. And so your problem is your TV set doesn't have S-video in, right?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's older television or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a VCR with S-video in?
No, it's a TV VCR in one.
See, basically...
Shouldn't the VCR have S-video in the back?
Well,
I guess not.
Apparently not. Geez, you need... I guess what we need is a converter from S-video to composite. Now, I understand Roger's telling us that there is a cable, an adapter you can get for that, which I have never seen.
It should just be a splitter of some sort.
We've become the Adapters channel, haven't we?
Hello, and welcome to the Adapter Show.
Yeah, that would be a great show. All adapters. So today we're going to talk about converting composite to S-video.
So now, what about this here
Tell you what,
cable?
TJ, we're told there's a cable. We will, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. We could obviously turn around and do a search for it here, but why bother? Here's what we're going to do. You get the show notes, the email we send out at the end of every show?
No, but I'll sign up.
Sign up.
Okay, sign up.
Because what I will do is I'll put a link in there to a source for cables that will convert S-video to composite. I presume you have an RCA jack for video in, yeah?
Is that those 3 colored?
Yes.
Yes.
Red,
white,
and yellow.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So we want to get you a converter that will go to composite in.
Okay, now assuming just for a moment that Roger's lying through his teeth, there's another option.
What is that?
There's a scan converter.
Well, not in this case.
In
this case, he's got a scan. What a scan converter is to take RGB out.
Right.
And I guess he could buy one, but he doesn't need to. To take RGB out of a computer and turn it into NTSC that a television. I keep pointing at this because it is actually a television that a television can understand. But he's already got NTSC out on that S-video, so he doesn't really. He's already got a scan converter built into the card. He merely needs the very simple conversion of S-video to composite.
Well, Roger's here.
Roger.
Dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you a liar or anything. I just said it was possible.
Okay, my parents too.
Okay.
Well, what you're doing is you're taking what essentially is component video or semi-component video and turning it into a composite signal, and they do make cables for that.
Does it need like a box, Roger, or is it just
just a little? It's a cable. It's about. Well, it depends on how much.
So it's really just an adapt. It's not even there's no conversion.
It's kind of like what you do when you want to convert like component video like B and C out into a single composite. Mm-hmm. What you actually do is you actually degrade the signal because you're not leaving it in the component state,
right?
And you're putting it all together. So you're basically eliminating the whole purpose of having S-video out.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean like this?
Oh.
You're talking like this.
S-video to RCA composite converter.
Like this one.
Oh, like this cable right here.
This is from
Thanks,
videotorca.com, and it's look at that. There's the S-video connector right here, and there's the RCA connector right there.
Oh, that's excellent.
So that's pretty straightforward. It doesn't say. Let me see if I can find a price if I scroll down. It says save thousands of dollars.
Oh, it cannot be that much.
This is $80.
Could he get?
Oh no, wait a minute. This is not $80.
Could you just get this at Radio Shack?
Probably.
I mean, is this just a standard?
Probably.
I've checked in Radio Shack a lot. They have nothing.
It's all of $25.
This is $25. I'll give you this link, and I'll do a few more. But basically all I did is I went to a search engine and I searched for S-video to composite. This came up.
The wonder of search engines, TJ. They're a very, very good thing.
What did we do before there was the internet? I mean, you would have had to call around, and it would be very hard to find.
How did we find anything out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Thanks, TJ. Don't start flipping, folks. Would you just do a flip? Thank you. Still to come. That was very good. You should have seen that. I wish you folks could have seen that. Still to come on this show, we'll talk to the creator of both the Amiga OS and a brand new language called Rebel. Rebel. Also, more answers to your computer questions and a robotic arm that will help you take voyeur cams to the next level. Well, it's about time. All that and more as the Screensavers rolls on.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kate Patello.
And I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you for joining us. We may not be fast, but we eventually get the answers. We've got 2 follow-ups.
Yes, we have.
Shall I do this one? Here it is, an S-video to an RCA cable.
Voila! That just went to engineering.
And this has the audio output, too, which, of course, you'd want, because S-video carries the audio and the video signals.
Thank you, Matt.
So
there's Matt back there, folks.
And we have links for 2 sites.
Wave, Matt. Here's your moment of fame. Here it comes. Hey!
Matt believes in standing in the dark.
That's right. That's his job. Now, the other one, Latrice, starting your own ISP. Our web czar, Tom Merritt, we love him so much, went out and found our article, Start Your Own ISP. So it's right there on the front page, Latrice. Go to thescreensavers.com. Click there, and there's all stories. In fact, I think one of the articles was written by one of our, was it Mary Beth? Did she write this for us?
Yeah, and
for how we started our own
ISP. And so she talks about the exact costs, what you need to buy. There's video on this.
Yes, Lon and Mary Jo. Yes.
Yeah, Mary Jo.
She's Scottish.
This is and even the lessons learned. So if you're interested in starting your own ISP, or you just want to know why can't I get internet access here. This is a good article. We put it on the front page to make it easy to find.
So thank you, Mary Jo and Lon. And Latrice, you check that out.
Today we're chatting in the chat room about email addresses. Most people should have email addresses, but should you be forced to have an email address? The Postmaster General gave a speech in which he said one of the things they're considering, this is just consideration, is having an email box for every single address that they deliver to. And then if you get an email and you don't have a computer, they print it out, put it in an envelope, and deliver it.
And waste more paper.
Well, I think that's neat, though. I think it's important. Email access is very important. If you don't have email access, the problem is it's one way, right? I can't write a letter, give it to the post office, and have them email it. Or maybe I can.
Not that we know of.
They aren't talking about that. But I think email access is important. I think in this case what they want to do is the federal government wants to save money sending you notices, just email them to you instead of, and they've wanted to do this for a long time.
Of course. Then they can't say, it got lost in the mail, because they know it went out over email.
S-video does not carry audio. I was wrong.
Thank you. Oh, David was wrong. David's like, no,
told me it did.
David, you're fired. I've been firing people all day. David, you're rehired. Hang out till the end of the show, and then you better be here tomorrow morning.
You got a leg up on me, David. She fired me and still hasn't rehired me. I've been working for free since June.
Oh, dude, you're rehired.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Well, anyway, we're both clicking no just because we're arbitrarily clicking no. So we want to know what you think. Take the web poll at screensavers.com and tell us how we can bring snail mail into the future.
You can also you can also chat with us. Chat.zdnet.com would be that address.
Okay, let's talk to Nick now. Nick, bail us out. Nick is joining us on the ZDTV 3Com Netcam Network from Tucson, Arizona. Nice bandana, man.
Thank you.
How you doing, Nick?
I'm pretty good.
You know, because I like your headgear, I'm tossing you a magnet. You're going to catch it on 3. Ready?
All right.
1, 2. Nice catch. Can I tell you something?
I think that bounced off his head.
Boing. It's that target right on your head. That's what I was aiming for. Do you know that I actually counted to 3 the other day, and I got an angry email from a viewer saying, you were wrong. You counted to 3. You never count to 3. Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
Some people are watching a little too closely.
So, Nick, what's up?
I think this is going to stump you guys. Pretty good question.
All right.
My cousin wanted to change cases for his computer.
Yes.
So we disconnected everything.
Yes.
And we used the same motherboard.
Yep.
But when we put it in the new case, the computer doesn't turn on now. It turns on to as far as where the BIOS would come on.
Yeah.
But it's just, and then the monitor shuts off.
You get a bunch of beeps?
Nuh-uh.
No beeps.
No beeps, because those beeps are really helpful. A certain code or a pattern of beeps will actually denote what error is happening in the booting, which is a very important thing.
Fan.
You get the fan, you get no beeping.
It checks like the floppy, and you can hear it trying to check the hard drive, and then it just stops.
It's not connected.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have a fan? Have you looked inside while this is doing this?
Yeah.
Open it up. Does the fan on the CPU spin?
Yep.
Okay. And the fan in the power supply is spinning?
Yep.
A couple of possibilities. One could be what Kate is saying, which is something is not properly connected or fully connected. For instance, if you flip the IDE hard drive connector, you'll have exactly the symptom you just spoke of.
The red stripe is number one, goes on the left.
Yeah, usually the red stripe goes closest to the power connector.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost always how it is. There is another chance that, and this is what swapping the case gives me lead to believe it might be this, if you have an underpowered power supply on the new case, or a power supply that's failing on the new case, you may not have enough juice to get, for instance, the hard drive to spin up. So it has enough juice to get the fan started. It starts everything. The hard drive goes, and then everything just collapses.
How can you test the power supply?
Well, one way to do it would be to remove as many devices as you can and try to start it up that way. And, of course, now, I'm no electrician, but I presume that you could put a voltmeter on
the... play one on TV.
I don't think I even play one on TV. You get a voltmeter and test the output on that one. Now, what is the rating on that case?
Do what?
The power rating on that case. Is it 250 watts, 300 watts?
It's 250.
Yeah. Now, that should be enough.
Yeah.
But if it's a failing power supply, or a lot of times, especially on cheesy cases, and I'm not saying you bought a cheesy case, but sometimes on cheesy cases, they rate the power supply for 250, but really it's only capable of 150.
What was your old case's rating?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may just be underpowered. I mean, that's symptomatic of that. So the first thing, I mean, you don't want to go buying a new power supply unless you've checked everything else. So do what Kate suggested first. Check all those cables. Make sure everything's properly connected and seated. Make sure the fan on the CPU is properly connected. Make sure especially the IDE connectors. I mean, that will actually stop a boot cold if you flip an IDE connector. And I know that because I've done it.
Because the power then gets to the fan, but once it actually tries to access the hard drive, it goes... So that sounds like that could be your problem. Maybe the cable's bad.
Could be a bad cable. Yeah.
I'm going to check that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but before you go out and get a new power supply, check all of that. And then, you can, it's only about $60 to put a new power supply in a case. You just remove it with the screws and you put a new one in. So if it's just the power supply, that's not too big.
Nick, you scuffled around in your socks on the wool carpet, man, didn't you? And then you walked in and dipped your fingers in water.
the card and everything.
Invariably, I mean, look, I've done what you do all the time, what you just did all the time. I'm invariably moving stuff around from case to case.
It almost never starts.
It almost never starts the first time.
It just doesn't happen.
There's always something.
Okay, Nick.
All right, can I get you to do one thing real quick?
Sure.
Can I get you to say hi to my brother Rico in Louisiana?
Yo, Rico, Louisiana, what's up? Was that good?
Yep, and I
He's
really
freezing now, by the way.
Autographed picture of you guys.
We'll get you there.
Absolutely.
You know that Rico's probably freezing. It's cold down there.
Yeah, poor Rico.
Not in Tucson, though, I bet.
Not in well, no. Now, Nick, we've done a couple things for you. Will you please take us to Rick Man?
Okay, thanks, St. and Leo. A netcam with a 180-degree view when the screensaver continues.
Very good. Can you whip off the bandana? Let's see your head, man.
I can't do that.
Screensavers.com. It's the best place for more information about what's on this show. Do you know how a CRT works? Do you know what a CRT is? Find out by taking this week's Super Geek Challenge. It's all about displays, cathode ray tubes. We've got them on the Screensavers.com.
And a big winner, ding, 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 David from Modesto, California. Let's all hear it for David. Wow, crowd goes wild. Winner of yesterday's Super Geek quiz, T-shirt, or attractive hat apparatus giveaway.
I think that qualifies. Be sure to fill out the form after you've taken the quiz, because you'll get a chance once you go through all those questions to do that and win.
And win. All right, now, as promised, here's Jim Ladderback with a look at her new robotic netcam arm on today's A Fresh Gear.
This is the Transit RCN from Surveyor Corp, and it's a robotic arm that lets you control your netcam either via software, as we see right here, or via the internet. Anybody can actually control the angle and position of your netcam. It's an interesting idea. You can set it up to a couple of different areas, so it views a bunch of different areas and have it just rotate through those areas, or as it's doing now, go through and randomly find different spots and show it up over the internet. Here's how the software works. I'm going to take this out of random and put it into manual control. Now what happens is I'm going to move my pointer over here into this area called the position touchpad. Now as I move it to the right, you'll see it actually scrolls the motor right here horizontally. As I move it up, it'll scroll it up. As I move it down, it'll scroll it down. Now, you only get 180 degrees of movement on the arm. Unfortunately, I was looking for 360 degrees. I'd like to have it be able to rotate all the way around 360 degrees and then 180 degrees up and down, so you could look at anything within a sphere. Unfortunately, you can't do that. You really only get a half or a semicircle, a hemisphere of what you can view. Motor in here that takes it around this way, a motor here that takes it in the vertical axis. Pretty nicely done. You can see on the back. Let me see if I can bring it down on the bottom. Bring it over here and down. You see right there, it's got a little nut. That's where you can connect to your netcam. This is a 3-com netcam that we connected. Unfortunately, the 3-com netcam is just a little bit too big because this wire will end up touching this and it could break over time. Now, in addition to being able to set up your own locations and your own angles and going through randomly, you can configure it so that somebody over the internet from anywhere around the world can pick what they want. So somebody, if you've got a fish tank set up in your office and a lava lamp, they can pick which one they want or maybe look at something in between. You do that by going in, and this is the application that lets them do that. Go into the RCN control. This is what they would see on their web page, this control right here. And you notice as I hold down the right key, down that right button, it moves to the right. See, click, click, click. Down, down, down. Up, up, up. And then this presses it back into the 0 mode. Now, the thing we like most about the Transit RCN is the price. Previously, arms like this were a couple $1,000, but this one's only $300. That's a really good price, even though for some reason you got to spend another $40 to get the power supply. Now, the software that ships with it does work. We're showing it to you right here. Some of the software they're developing for it isn't really there yet, and all the software is not as robust as it should be. We figure over time it'll get better. Overall, we give it 3 out of 5 stars. $340. It is available now.
You can get your new fresh gear with Patrick, Jim, Sumi, and James every
James
Friday.
Doesn't have a...
He's a DJ, right? So James, see, Friday afternoon at 1:30, 12:30 Central, right here on ZDTV. Maybe someday I'll learn real sign language, not exactly what.
We actually have one of those cameras, you know. That's the Screensaver's set cam.
That doesn't work right now.
Is it not working right now? There it is. It's on that robotic arm. Eventually, what we hope to do is allow you from the web to be able to program where the camera is pointing. Not the camera for TV, but the camera for our web spy cam.
That used to follow us around, and it could actually move.
It followed us around?
It's like an icon, man. Look over my shoulder, it's a camera.
Hey, I'm scared.
Look, watch this. I look over my shoulder, it's a camera. See? Feeling all paranoid. There's people watching.
You're off your lithium again, aren't you, dear?
Oh, man.
Here's an email from Stephen in Alpharetta, Georgia. I'm just kidding.
I know.
We'll get you those shots later. I've been trying to learn a little programming, and I'm trying as many languages as possible. I ran into Rebel, and I wanted to find some more information on it, revealing the secrets behind Rebel when the Screensavers continues. We got an email from Stephen in Alpharetta, Georgia. He says, I've been trying to learn a little programming, and I'm trying as many languages as possible, which is a lot of fun. I think that's great. I ran into Rebel, and I wanted to know some more information about it. Well, we thought we'd get the Rebel himself, Stephen, for you. We've invited the person who wrote Rebel, CEO of Rebel Technologies, Carl Sassenrath, is here. Hi, Carl. Welcome.
Thank you, Leo.
He's waving the Rebel flag. Rebel is not COBOL, is it?
No.
It's not related at all.
No.
Yeah.
Sounds sort of similar, but...
No, in fact, it's much more modern. It's how old is Rebel?
So actually, Rebel's been in development my entire career. It's been something I've been working on for actually 20 years. But
really?
But for about the last 3 or 4 years, it's been around. Mostly net folks.
Well, you brought it up your entire career, so I'm going to have to bring up, I'm sorry to say, your past.
No.
Many people recognize the name Carl Sassenrath. You wrote the original Amiga operating system, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, thank you.
First operating system, mainstream operating system with the multitasking. It was a GUI. I mean, it was really ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you look at what happened to the Amiga afterwards? words and say, geez, that's too bad?
It was hard. It was hard to go through. The system was about 10 years, ahead of its time.
Yeah,
with all what it did.
Yeah, it's not good to be ahead of your time. And I guess, it's still around. Gateway bought it, and then they just sold it again.
Yeah.
And do you still follow what goes on?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I talk to those folks.
Well, this is not the Amiga, but some of the ideas that you learned in the Amiga are incorporated here.
Yeah, it has some of the same feeling about it. It's not.
What do we need another programming language for? We've got C, we've got C++, we've got Java. Why do we need a new one?
Well, simplicity.
Okay,
that's what I was after, simplicity and productivity.
Those languages are hard to learn, and to do anything really effective, you need to be an expert in it. You can't just kind of sit down and write a C program. Well, maybe some people can, but I couldn't.
It takes years.
Yeah. Now, there are scripting languages, and I've talked about Python a lot. There's Perl, there's HTML. These languages are a little easier to learn, a little easier to use. Is this more like a scripting language?
Yeah, it's much more on the scripting language side of things. Yeah.
What were you trying to achieve with Rebel?
Oh, well, again, simplicity. And
but come on. What tasks did you want to solve? What job?
Network kind of tasks. It's a very network-savvy language.
Okay.
It's a language where you can define your own vocabularies.
Okay.
So if you're a stockbroker and you want to talk in stock kind of lingo, you can say things like sell a certain number of shares of stock at a certain price.
And you can do that because you told Rebel what sell meant, what shares meant, what prices are.
Right.
And it can interpret it as a result. That's kind of like Forth. That reminds me of one of my earlier programming languages that I love.
It goes way back.
That kind of concept. Mm-hmm. Well, show us a little bit of Rebel. Now, this is you were, I understand, stayed up late last night writing something for the show.
5 this morning.
And this is something that's going to be on the Rebel website, maybe even by now, but certainly in the next couple of days. Rebel.com?
Yes.
REBOL.com. Show us what you've got going.
Well, this is an example of an application that's trying to communicate with me here. This is a catalog called Real Goods.
Now, I got this by going to a website?
Yeah, actually, this would be downloaded from a website. It's a very small, tiny download.
Okay.
And this information was pumped down to you.
Once it's downloaded, though, it's now what we call client side. It's now running off my computer, not the website.
Right.
Okay.
All of this that you see here, the compositing, the graphics, the reuse of images, the colorization of images, all that is happening on your client side, so it's being totally rendered there.
And it's all built into Rebel at a very high level, so I don't have to know how all those things work. I can just say a word or two to do it, right?
That's right. It doesn't take much to do it. And it actually saves the servers a tremendous amount.
They're not doing any calculating.
Yeah. About 50, we figure about a factor of 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, show us how it works, and I think people will see when we're using it.
Yeah, well, here's an example of a catalog, and I want to go to specials here. And
look how fast all this comes
I want to whip through,
But now here's the key. These prices can be updated from the server, right?
Right.
So it's not a program that's just running locally. This can automatically get data, email data, send out data to the server, right?
It depends on the computation. So, for instance, here, the delivery method, I might select that. You can see it's updating on the screen, or I might select the quantity here.
So that might have to come from the server.
And what it does is it updates here and confirms with the server. Right.
That's neat. Can we see the source code for this application?
Sure.
How big is it to download all of this? What we saw, not only because you'd have to download the Rebel interpreter too the first time you ran it, right? Right. How big would that whole package?
It's about 250K for the Rebel interpreter, and then each application would be downloaded. Okay, so the application could be 100K, for instance, this one here.
Right.
Okay, and then the nice thing is that each time you update
even with the graphics and everything, that was only 100K?
That's about 100K.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah. So
let's take a look at the source code. We're going to edit it here.
So here's it starts out.
Can we read that? I guess we can see. If you could make the font a little bit bigger, that might be a good thing to do. I think it's under View.
Under View? Okay.
Options. I don't know. Forget it. Just.
Okay.
We'll live with this.
I can probably select it all and come over here and
there you go.
Like
there you go. Make it bigger. You're a smarter man than I am. So this looks very English-like. Anybody who's done any programming can see it's really more like a scripting language than anything else.
Look to the bottom of it here. Here, go to the top.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, in here,
this is kind of interesting. You're creating new words up here, right?
Yeah. This is an example. We're creating styles. A headline style is based on a title, and it has a different offset on it. Okay, but here's where it gets interesting right here. Here's the actual screen that you saw at the beginning, which is there's a headline that goes across the top.
So headline, which is a new word you wrote in this program, knows what to do with that text.
Yeah, to make it bolder and brighter, the yellow color. And then at a particular offset on the screen, so 140 from the left-hand side and down 100.
Okay.
Put this image of John Schaefer, who is the founder of that.
Right.
And that's his size. So he's 140 by 140 wide. And then there's a subtitle underneath that, and then there's text. See, so it's quite
How would this compare to something like Perl? Shell or Python, which are also scripting languages?
Well, I've studied many different languages. This is a result of studying about 50 different languages.
Right.
Okay, and most languages are pretty complex.
They're hard to learn.
Yeah, take a while.
Yeah.
And some languages are fairly cryptic. And what I tried to do here is keep it very simple. You don't see a lot of extra punctuation.
Nope.
So, for instance, in image John and the image size, there's no semicolons or commas or any of that kind of stuff.
So easy to learn, designed specifically for web applications, web-enabled applications, mail-enabled. You also understand newsgroup protocols, NNTP, FTP, things like that. So the idea would be I would write as a web developer an application in here. Are people starting to adopt this? I mean, have any big sites started to adopt this yet?
Oh, we're seeing it all over the place now.
Yeah.
We've actually had about 250,000 people come and grab, Rebel and try it out and using on. There actually thousands of corporations are using it internally.
Well, there's an application. I was saying this before the show. There's an application I'm working on, a web-enabled application that I've been struggling with because I had to cobble together something out of Python, JavaScript, and Java.
That's a lot.
This would solve that problem for me. So I'm going to give it a try. If you want to try Rebel, it is free for download at rebel.com. You're not open source. You're not giving away the source code or anything like that. You're solely owning the development.
Yeah. You get all this kind of source code with it, of course.
Right.
The application stuff.
What's your business model here? Are you going to start selling it to people? What do you want to do ultimately to make money at this?
Well, what we're going to do is find commercial users that we're willing to kind of subsidize it for the rest of the folks.
Well, it's great for those of us who are just armchair programmers to be able to download a programming language of this kind of richness and maturity and be able to play with it ourselves. I encourage you to download it yourself. That's Rebel, REBOL.com. You can download a copy. It's $144K to download the whole thing. And this demonstration and this new Rebel View that you've demonstrated, the new beta Rebel View will be up in the next couple of days, yeah?
Yeah.
Even today?
Tomorrow, probably.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna swamp your servers. You better put it on. Right. Carl Sassenrath, CEO of Rebel Technologies, the creator of the Amiga operating system. We're going to have you back. Okay, because I want to talk about the Amiga sometime. So I'd love to know all the stuff inside there. You can learn more about Rebel by stopping by our website. It's at www.thescreensavers.com. Thanks, Carl. I really appreciate it. Great to meet you. All right, folks, I'm inviting you to be a creator. You can do it. Record a video email and send it to us. What we've done to make it easy, we put instructions. We even put scripts on our website at thescreensavers.com. Just click on Interact. You'll find it all there. Now, here is the personality of the week, Brian's creation. Thank you, Brian.
Brian Adams here from Cowles, Minnesota, informing you there's a lot more to come in the Screensavers. Don't touch that universal remote control. Kate and Leo will be right back to answer your computing questions.
Take a peek up there on your screen and you will see the preliminary results of our poll today. So far, 82% of you are like, no, I don't want an email address to go with my snail mail. But you've got, 24 hours to beg to differ. Screensavers.com.
Remember, all our viewers have email. So they don't need it.
So they don't care. They're like, I don't want to be forced.
If you didn't have email, you might be more interested.
Yeah.
But keep voting.
I mean, of course, it's
forced is
slanted.
Yeah.
Not that our polls are completely impartial and
Mm.
scientifically accurate at all times.
Oh, you thought you said they weren't going to. Kenneth sends us this email from Riverside, California. We showed SimCity on the Palm platform.
Yes, we did.
He says, can I do it on my Jornada or Windows CE? I think they're planning a Windows CE version. Go to the company that created the software. I don't know why. When we showed you that Palm tip, we showed you a website in Turkmenistan.
Yeah,
but
in fact,
it was a mirror. There is a website in the U.S. It's ateliersoftware.com, ATELIER software.com. And I think as I remember, they're going to do a version for Windows CE.
Okay.
But you can encourage them.
Here's Matt, whose last name I can't read, and that's fine because we're not doing it anyway. He says, I've been looking at getting a digital camera for my machine. I'd like your suggestions on the best camera. I like the Nikon Coolpix 950.
Yeah.
Sony Navico's a great camera.
I got a new favorite, the Kodak DC290.
Oh,
3.1
awesome.
megapixel. 3 megapixel.
Hello?
Not that you'd ever use that because it takes up like the whole memory for one picture.
Well, take one really good picture.
One. Chris writes to Cake and Lego.
Oh, Cake and Lego, yes.
Love your show. Love your show. Can you give the lowdown on the new Mac OS X? Believe me, we will. There are betas out right now. I guess maybe it's time for us to start looking at it. I usually like to wait until they're pretty solid. They say they'll ship this summer. We'll certainly be covering it heavily once it comes out because we think it's going to be a great operating system, too, with a mock kernel, a Unix-like kernel.
Go to Apple's site and take a look. They do have some pictures of the desktop up there and what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Semi-transparent
windows.
Aqua
interface.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I call it the Aqua fresh interface.
Aquafresh.
Just like a little toothpaste blob.
All right. Oh,
that's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Leo Laporte.
I'm Kate Patello, and thanks for, being here and stuff.
Yeah, okay. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love your hair. Hope you win.